Hi, my name is Brian with Phoenix Equipment. Today we're going to go through the basic repair of the Phoenix 5000 series gun. First thing you want to do is remove your tips. You have your catalyst cap and your material tip. Then you want to separate the handle from the body. That. Lay that off to the side. We'll work on the handle first. Basically, you have a spool in here with 4 O-rings on it that you're going to want to replace. Pin. Pull the spool out, and then you just want to replace those 4 O-rings. And then we recommend a non-petroleum based lubricant to go back on there. There is, you'll see on your drawing, there's a cylinder in there that shows some O-rings on it. Those almost never need to be replaced because it's a static seal, they don't move. Put that back in, put your pin in. And then the O-rings on the trigger, you're just going to want to replace those. And that's about it for the trigger. We'll come over here to the gun head. First thing we want to do is remove our yoke that controls the valves inside the gun. Pull the plate off. Remove the yoke. It's not necessary to take that off. We're doing just a basic repair. Then we're going to take out our needles. You're going to note these needles are different sizes on the newer guns. The older guns, they should be the same size. But if they are, you always want to check to make sure that you put them back in correctly. The longer needle is going to go on the catalyst side of the gun. So once we've done that, we're going to remove the fittings on the back of the gun. And also in the back of the gun, we have 2 check valves. This is your catalyst side. And this is your catalyst air side, or atomizing air as well. Cut. Okay, now we're going to remove the fittings on the back of the gun. This is the catalyst fitting. There's an O-ring there that will need to be replaced. And on each of these, the catalyst and the catalyst air, there's a check valve. So we're going to remove the catalyst air, atomizing air, also called. Something else important to note is that both of the check valve poppets are the same, but the springs are different. You want to remember that the higher tension spring is going to go into the catalyst side. I'll remove the resin fitting. Replace that O-ring. Now we're going to remove the chopper valve. If you have a gel coat gun, this will be just a plug. Okay. Okay, now we're going to remove the chopper valve. This is what controls your chopper motor if you have a chopper gun. It actuates allowing air to come up to the chopper and shut the chopper motor off when you're triggering the gun. If you have a gel coater, you won't have this. So the first thing you want to do is just loosen this up. Then loosen up your set screw. No need to take it out, just loosen it up. And the valve will pull out like so. And basically you're going to replace this O-ring, these 2 O-rings, and then the O-ring on the little poppet valve inside there. You want to lubricate everything up real good, again with a non-petroleum based lubricant, and reassemble and set it off to the side. Okay. Push the poppet valve back in. Insert your spring and reinsert the air tube. We're going to set this off to the side. Now we're going to remove our needle piston or piston assembly, which is in the back here. This is what actuates your needles. There's an Allen screw at the end of the piston. You just put in there and twist and turn it, pull it out. So you're going to place the O-rings here and here. Set that off to the side. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out our packings. We have a series of Teflon O-rings, and on the catalyst side we have an orange silicone O-ring, and on the resin side we'll have a black EPR O-ring. So we're going to take these Allen plugs out, which are also a packing adjustment. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You can see your orange O-ring in there. It's a silicone O-ring. That's on the catalyst side of your gun. Okay, so what we'll do next is we're going to pull this O-ring out. And then behind that we're going to have a spacer. And then next is a Teflon O-ring, and followed by one more spacer, and then at the very bottom there is another Teflon O-ring. It's good to go in from the back to kind of push that out. You'll be able to see it, and you can get it out that way. And that's your catalyst side. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to replace the O-rings. And first thing you want to do is put a Teflon O-ring in. We recommend that you just put a nice thin film of non-petroleum based lubricant on there. And then find a tool, good end of a drill bit will work, the size of the bore, and you can just push that down in there. Then you take your first spacer. You want to make sure that it's aligned like so. And put it in there. Followed by another Teflon O-ring. Followed by an additional spacer. And lastly, you're going to put your orange O-ring, because again, this is the catalyst side. And just line that up. And you go to put your Allen screw back in, which is also a packing nut. At this point, you want to be careful. Just hold it loosely in your hand and just go till you feel it stop. You don't want to put any torque on it at this point. Turn it over. Again, the longer of the two needles on the newer guns is going to be for catalyst. If they're equal size, it doesn't matter. We're going to take this needle, I like to put a little lube on the end of it, and then push it down in there like so. And then after you've done that, you want to adjust your packing. Again, holding your Allen wrench loosely, you're going to feel it kind of bottom out, and then just about a quarter turn more. And then that's going to leave you room in the future to adjust your packings as needed. Now, the resin side is identical. The only difference is you're going to have a black O-ring on that side rather than the orange one. So you would just repeat the same procedure on this side. Once I've done that, I've got my needles in on both sides. Both my packings are lightly adjusted. I'm going to put my piston back in. You want to have a good, nice film of lubricant on inside your piston bore and on your O-rings. And then you just want to push that back in there. And it's good to take the Allen screw, and you can use that to kind of line it up and then just push it all the way down in there. Once you've done that, you can see you've got your needle, and then your piston's in the center, and then you have your other needle. We can put our yoke back in, and this is what connects everything. Okay, now we're going to put the yoke back in. You can see that it lines up your two needles and your piston in the center, and this is what is going to connect them all so that when you trigger your gun, it's going to actuate back and forth. I'm going to put your cap plate back on the other side. Put our pin in. So that's the main part of the gun. We can go ahead and put the rest of our gun back together. Again, you want to remember that your springs on your two valves are, the heavy spring is going to go on top, which is the catalyst side, and the lighter spring is going to go down on the bottom, which is your catalyst air or atomizing air. First thing you want to do is put your chopper valve assembly back in, lining up the small divot there with your set screw. Snug that up. Then we're going to tighten up our chopper air tube. So first thing we'll do is we're going to put our catalyst fitting back in, heavier spring on that side with the check valve. We're going to do the catalyst air side, lighter spring, check valve. Now we put at the factory put a little bit of thread locker on that as a sealant. If you don't have that, Teflon tape will work. And lastly, our resin fitting. That completes the rebuild on the gun head. We've already done our handle. We're just going to put them back together. Oh, there's three. Can't cut. Oh. So on the bottom, you also have three O-rings that seal up against your handle, and you're going to want to replace those, and that'll complete the rebuild of the gun head. We've already done our handle, so we're going to put that back together. I like to push down on it nice and tight so you get a good seal. Now, one thing that you don't want to do with these is over tighten. You want to basically just go until you feel it bottom out against that pin, and just about a quarter turn more, and that's all you need. And that completes the rebuild of the Phoenix Series 5000 gun.